Hello, my name is Donavan,
I'm Evangeline.
I'm DaQuavion.
Tanmay.
and we are
Simply
Neighbors.
This is our 5th episode, and we're so excited to welcome our newly elected Ward 12 councilperson, Tanmay Shah. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I'm
we're happy
honored.
to have you. We just wanted to introduce you to the podcast, introduce you to our listeners. So do you mind sharing a little bit about yourself, your background, kind of what has led you to this role in this place?
We are about 4 months into my term, and I am a councilman for Cleveland City Council's new Ward 12, which is the neighborhoods of Cudell, Edgewater, West Boulevard, and Jefferson. And this has been a wild ride so far. I am learning a lot of things at once, but my background, just briefly, is I'm an immigrant from India, moved to this country when I was 9 years old, have been in Cleveland for like the last 5 years, and a homeowner in Cleveland for the last 3 years. And yeah, with all the joys and the struggles that come with home ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And I am, I ran on affordable housing, affordable groceries, and reliable city services. So, it was a really exciting campaign, and now the actual hard work of delivering on that starts. So I'm really excited.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I love to hear fun facts about our guests. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Tanmay. Just give us something fun about you, maybe something we wouldn't expect to know. Just to break the ice.
Yeah, and we can also share too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't we do that?
Yeah.
I'll go, and then Evangeline go, then Donovan, and then it'll be your turn.
Yes.
So, fun fact about me is my heart is center right. I have a special heart condition called scimitar syndrome. And so because of that, my heart is more on the right side because the arteries are reversed. And so it's a fun fact. When I was a kid, I used to think if I was ever in like a situation, somebody tried to shoot me, they would think they got me, but they didn't.
Oh.
So
Oh
I
my
was,
God.
It's like a superpower.
that's what I
Raven,
thought.
I don't think that's a fun fact.
That is like,
What?
so that's my fun fact.
Okay. All right.
Yours doesn't have to be intense.
It is not. Well, my fun fact is when I was 10, I actually wrote and recorded a song. And it's called You Are a Star, and I'm hoping Disney buys it for me because it's giving Disney. It's very, very like, oh.
Very real life Disney princess
Yes.
energy.
We might need a
Yeah.
rendition before this.
Yeah, maybe, get a remix going now that I'm, so many years older. But yeah, Donovan.
All right, I feel like this isn't very fun. It's the first thing that came to mind for some reason. I'm left-handed, and that means, hey, let's go, two of us.
Could be your fun fact.
So I do most things with my left hand, and at one point I realized I put my belt on upside down the other way because I bloop it around with my left hand, and at some point somebody pointed out to me, and I've never thought of it before, and no one has ever mentioned it aside from that one person. But I was like, that's crazy.
Who was that person?
He was just one of my childhood friends. We were like, hey, why is it going the other way? We were like standing next to each other, and the loops were, going in different directions. I was like, oh, yeah, I left-handed that one too.
Okay.
I'm left-handed as well, but that's not. I feel like Donovan got the fun part of it. I'll go with when I was 7 years old. The reason why I have glasses is I had a fireworks incident
Oh, no.
in India during Diwali.
Oh,
You use
no.
incense sticks to light the firecrackers, and as in India, it's the same concepts of what's safe for a child are not the same there. So just like any other 7-year-old, I was using it to light a firecracker, and I was running away from it after I lit it, and I poked myself in the eye with it.
Oh, no.
Oh,
wow.
And that's the story of how I got my glasses, and since then I've had my glasses. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a fun fact.
Yeah, we didn't talk about
eye.
traumatic factors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, we're
Okay.
sitting on this side of the table, so
I-
like that's fun for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
survivors.
Right.
We,
Yeah.
we're thriving now.
Got it.
Yeah,
You're living life, having fun. So
Yeah,
that's the fun.
yeah, yeah.
The fun fact.
Yeah.
exactly. I had to wear a little eye patch for like a couple weeks.
Come on now.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm glad I didn't. They don't have Pirates of the Caribbean in India because I feel like I would have been bullied for that. But
Yeah.
I can already think of the pirate jokes.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
good. I got that done in India before I came.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. That's why I have glasses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Oh my goodness. Well, that was great. Well, thank
Yeah.
you everyone for sharing your fun
Yes.
facts.
Thank you. It's enlightening. So we did want to talk about more serious things too. So just kind of wanted to ask you about some of the hard things going on in our ward. We're here on Peony. We're within sight, basically, of Mary Church Terrell. The school is closing down. That's part of the growing or degrowth pains that Cleveland is going through. So just kind of wanted you to kind of share what are some of the things that are on your mind for like, this is some of the hard things our ward is going through, and what challenges do you see?
Yeah, it's, I think for the folks who may not be aware, right, listeners at home, I don't know what to call them. It's
Neighbors.
Neighbors.
Yeah, thank you.
Listeners in the
For
car,
neighbors,
neighbors,
Yeah.
all things.
Who've
Yeah.
been living under a rock. Cleveland used to have almost 1 million people at one point, and now we have a third of that, about 350,000 at the last census. And what that means in terms of city services and city facilities and infrastructure is that we have enough buildings, infrastructure for 1 million people, but we have a third of that population. That also means a third of that tax base, all of what that flows from. And part of those growing pains, degrowth pains, means that at some point we have to start adjusting our infrastructure in order to support and focus on serving the people who are actually living here still, and not just keep pursuing this idea of like, we will have this 1 million, so we got to keep this up. So it makes for really tough challenges and choices in terms of, okay, what are we going to prioritize? What are we going to make sure that people still have access to? What are we going to ensure that we are willing to sacrifice? And there's going to have to be sacrifices. And one of those things has been the school district. And historically, the schools have been really a center for struggle for the people of Cleveland, especially for Black Cleveland. It's been a place where every major battles have been fought. It's the reason why Martin Luther King came here. It was a big part of Carl Stokes' campaign when he became the first Black mayor of a major city in America. And that kind of tradition has been still going on, where we see a lot of pain points on the east side, especially because of these closings. It's really impacting the neighborhoods. But I say all of that to provide the context that, this is not just happening in our ward. And for me, it's something that I try to ground a lot of my conversations around, is because I think we often have a tendency, especially because of the nature of Cleveland City Council, that people tend to just kind of zone in on a ward and kind of forget about the rest of the city.
Yeah.
Right? And it's understandable. Everybody's worried about their street, about their corner. Council members are as well. But
Yeah.
we have to start thinking about, okay, what's the broader context happening? And for our ward, we have 3 schools that are going to be closing as part of this process. CMSD went through a process. They are calling it the Building Brighter Futures. I'll reserve my thoughts and comments on the broader plan, but concretely what it means is, unless y'all ask me, but concretely what it means is that we're right-sizing some of these schools and making sure that we're actually the administration's vision, and this is driven by the administration. For the folks who may not be aware, Cleveland is unique in Ohio because it is, I think, the only school district where the mayor has control. We do not have an elected school board. For better or worse, Mayor Mike White went down to the legislature in the 90s, and they called it the Cleveland Plan, and they got control so that the mayor actually appoints the school board. And so the school board that was appointed by the mayor has decided to close schools across the city. We have 3 of them in our ward: Louisa May Alcott. We also have Mary Church Terrell, not far from here.
Yeah.
And then we also have New Tech West. So those are the 3. And for me, at least, coming in, understanding what the context is, what the history is, of course, the first step. The second step is, where do we go from here? And for me, that's always been, I've been clear, you know, in our campaign, we talk a lot about like people power, and we see these as an opportunity for struggle, but also opportunities for organizing. So making sure that the people who actually live around there, who are going to be the most impacted, actually have a seat at the table. So for me, that's kind of really how I've been envisioning of what this is, a public asset, and how do we leverage this public asset to ensure that something good comes from it.
Yeah.
Because the negatives can be innumerable, but we have to be willing to kind of think beyond what's possible and be willing to imagine, to think about what the good can be. So that's kind of, hopefully that answers. I know that was a bit of a longer one, but yeah.
No, that's great. That provides a lot of context. I think that's really helpful. And I think it's really important to kind of frame things not just in a negative light, but in a like, what can we build from this?
Which doesn't just mean you have to be positive, right? People often think just when you don't focus on negatives, you have to like this false positivity. I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
So I
the problems are real, right?
Yeah.
I always say if you scratch a cynic, you find an idealist.
That's good. And and I feel like we talked about this before in past episodes, like thorns and blooms. Like there's thorns around, but there's also like blooms. And so some of the thorns could be positive things in the sense like these are protections. Other time there could be really challenges that like don't actually allow for like branchings and new buds. And so like this is an opportunity for like people power to be more blooms.
Yeah. I do want to talk about the blooms and the how we can turn the thorns into blooms. But first, I also wanted to kind of let you give voice to some of the other thorns that are real, that people feel in their daily lives here. So what are the like most common or most pressing day-to-day concerns you hear in your position, people coming to you asking for help on these things?
Calling Nico for.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Shout out Nico, who is our executive assistant for the ward, along with Katie and Chris, new council aides that we just got into the office. If you haven't seen on our social media, I'm really proud of the team we've put together so far and the work we've already started doing. But yeah, of course, you know, a good chunk of what a city council person does involves constituent services, and historically there's been this push and pull between what percent of your capacity do you devote to city services, constituent services versus legislative versus kind of being a broader representative. So in regards to constituent services, kind of some of what we've already seen, the majority of our calls have been with housing. And that was something, you know, right, we had an inkling of going into it. That was why housing was the number one priority. For my background as a housing attorney at Legal Aid, it just goes back to like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It's food, shelter, and then everything else flows from that. So we knew that there was this desperate need, and it's been, I think, accurately, we see that in the numbers of the people that are reaching out to us for assistance. So housing is definitely top of it. After that, it's really a mix of things, of everything from like making sure that city services are being proper, like like trash pickups. It's about potholes. Right now, it's a lot of potholes, issues with repaving, resurfacing, making sure that those get through. And so that's just it's really a wide variety. I've been kind of fortunate that Nico and Katie and Chris have been able to kind of help pick up the slack in that regards of like responding and connecting to people. We've been pushing 311, which is our, you know, city service centralization for how the city responds to these things. And for us, that's been a broader vision of like, look, if we want to be better as a city at addressing people's needs, you have to start identifying trends and patterns so that you can actually be proactive about providing solutions, and we're not just being reactive with connecting people to services afterwards.
Before we go into the blooms, I was curious, you did mention your different council people kind of split their time differently with constituents versus legislative work with city council. What does that look like for your office so far? And kind of in that sense, where you're prioritizing your time?
Yeah, I got dinged on this, I think, during my endorsement interview, actually, with Cleveland.com, Plain Dealer, or whatever they want to call themselves now. I got the endorsement. Surprisingly, we weren't expecting it, but they endorsed me. But in their endorsement, they were like, "Oh, Tanmay, we recommend voting for him, but he needs to focus more on constituent services." Because the way I was framing things was like, "Oh, we need to organize people, and we want to see more of a focus on serving longer term needs."
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, focus on constituent services." And I was like, "That's what that
That's
means."
what it
like,
means. Yeah, right.
So that's where we've always been, right? But
Yeah.
I think in terms of like the way I think most people kind of understand it, we've definitely been on trying to understand what are the broader patterns,
Right.
and more of the legislative portions of it that I think City Council has historically not really done a good job of. I think that can explain a lot of issues that we see in City Hall right now, has been because City Council has not been an effective legislative body for far too long. And to me, effective legislative body, I don't know if that really exists in the United States for quite some time, but it means having a set of laws, a set of common rules that we all know and understand that actually reflects the reality that people are facing.
Yeah.
And we just haven't had that, where things are not kind of reacting in the real time that people need. We are seeing corporations exploit loopholes at a far quicker and further pace than government is keeping up. And to me, that's where like government has to step up and do better, because when we see that rules are not serving the people, you have to create new rules, or you have to understand, okay, how are these things being exploited so that we can close these loopholes? How are tenants being protected because landlords are taking advantage of the landlord-tenant law, right? So all of those things are where we've been trying to focus more of an attention, but it really starts with kind of building trust. So
Yeah.
understanding where my fellow council members are has been a big part of it, because I also see myself as, even before an elected official, as an organizer in office. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me excited as someone in your ward, just that you're thinking big picture and thinking more about how these laws do affect people, and in a way focusing on legislative rules and making change in that area does serve your constituents. So that's awesome. So I guess let's talk about the good stuff and just exciting things that is on your heart and your mind with your team. But where do you see new sustainable growth popping up within the neighborhood? What are you kind of excited and looking forward to?
I'm just excited, I think, because it's spring. It's everywhere, right? And I think I take a lot of my cues from nature. Just my philosophy and my way I've always tried to approach it has been of like, I have a tangent that I don't know if I want to go down about gardens, but I'll keep it on the question. So,
Go where you feel.
Yeah.
This,
Go there.
This is a conversation. This is a community.
a side note of like, I love gardening, and for me, I always thought if this hadn't worked out, I was gonna try to have a community garden. And one of my philosophies is that I think not enough of our leaders are working with their hands. They're not getting their hands dirty with actual dirt, because I think if they did, they'd be making better decisions. Because I think there's a connectivity to nature that you lose when you are immersed in bureaucratic processes, which you need to a degree. But when you lose touch with kind of that nature part of our world, I think you make worse decisions. So I wanted to have like a co-working gardening space where you are like having meetings while you're putting things in the earth, of like planting and talking through things or something. But
Someone's already signing up for that.
Yeah. Where do I sign up?
I love it.
If Stephanie's here, she would be like, "Get me on it. I'm ready."
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Cheesy name was gonna be, corny name was gonna be the Dirty Hands, Clean Heart. Trying to get
nice.
people together. So that being put to the side, like to me, spring is always rejuvenating, refreshing, right? It's like we're kind of storing up our energy to enjoy the season, and I feel that in what our office is doing. I'm really excited for our ward office that's going to be opening up in terms of across the city. I think there's just a generation, I don't know if generation is the right word, I think a wave of interest in local government recently. I think that I'm really excited for, because I think folks are realizing more and more that if you don't know what's happening to your neighbors, what's happening 2 streets away, what's happening in your city, you can't be worried about what's happening in DC. You can't be worried about what's happening in Columbus.
Yeah.
You have way less control over those
Right.
things than what's happening to your neighbors.
Right.
I agree. I think there is a bit of a like small pockets everywhere nature to it, though. There's neighbors over here doing one thing, not aware of the neighbors 2 streets over who are, planning a cleaning day, like our friends at Solo. We didn't know about that until we met them and
At the community
at
meeting.
the community meeting organized, yes.
Which was
But yeah, so how do you envision like people kind of connecting and then building together, not just in their own small pockets?
It's, I think, just getting organized, right? And I think I've said that multiple times throughout this. So for me, at least, that means just being more connected. Absolutely, being more aligned, talking through things of like what is the common ground, what are the things that we know we all hold in common, and starting to work towards that in a coordinated fashion. And I think in terms of how people get involved, it's like you just mentioned, talking to your neighbors. That's really, I think, the start of how so much of our civic infrastructure has really crumbled. And I think in our age of internet, of AI, slop taking over everything, like that desire to unplug and check out is always there. And we see more and more people starting to realize that these online communities, these online ways are not going to replace the actual human connections that you can foster through in-person communication, through all of the other types of ways that we have. So just like start with your neighbors. There's no absolute other way to like get to know, okay, what are the common things that we can work on, and building from there. So
I mean, it was amazing to be at the community meeting and see so many neighbors come out, and really we got to connect so much more with some of our neighbors that are not too far away. So we really appreciated just even having that space, let alone, you gave so much information about kind of what's to come. So definitely meeting more frequently. Anything more than once a year is great.
Yeah, I would agree. And also, like, think too, to your point about like, neighbors, like we play a part in this too. We cannot abdicate our responsibility to like public officials and leaders, whether that's like with schools, and like, we can blame and be upset. And I'm upset and I'm saddened about school closures and things. At the same time, like we do have power. We can try to see how that power can be to shape the future of the schools, even though we're in the situation.
Yeah.
Likewise, with the community meetings, like there might be we really getting a neighbor night started more in West Boulevard. Like, we had Moses on our last episode. We talked about it. I went to his neighbor night this past week, and I made a declaration that I'll start taking pictures more to like promote. And so like I hope that we can like help, like, one, support what they're doing there, but also like get people like connected with neighbor night, and then coalition building. Hopefully, like as we're doing it there, like we packed that place out so much, now we got to split off and like be in West Boulevard ourselves. But so like there's things that we can also do together.
Right. Yeah.
what would you like to see, Donavan?
I am in agreement with Evangeline. I think just having community meetings happen more frequently, building out spaces for us to connect. A lot of it is really as simple as just meeting your neighbors, and so spaces that bring people together. That's what we need. I've also been to the neighbor night, and the resource sharing that neighbor nights encourage is really powerful. So I would love to see that for us as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can't wait to have fun this summer. Like, I know you're talking about spring. I'm a summer girl, so like it would be so fun if we could do block parties. Like, I just feel like our neighborhood has so much to offer. It's so diverse. Like, there's people from all pockets of the world here in West Boulevard. So what does it look like to enjoy summer together with all that we bring, right? So I don't know, international potluck, something in the park, you know.
The
I
sky's
just can't wait for that.
Like infinite. And like there's Neighbor Up grants, like if people need help trying to apply for those, we've gone through the process. We're available to help. But also Neighbor Up has like trainings that they'll do and like help you walk through. You literally can go to their office and there's somebody who will like walk you through the process completely. And so like there's things like that. I mean, there's so many resources. Like, like I said, we're here to help. And actually, not quite done, but this is probably going to be a little bit of accountability now that I'm like saying it out loud. I've been working on a block party handbook to just be able to like help people get started and stuff. So like you guys can now hold me accountable to try to see this get done.
I'm going to need a copy.
By the end of the year, that is the goal. I'm like transferring it now, trying to get all the pictures and stuff. So now we have all these community things going on. I actually have photos to put our faces in it, not just like these generic Portland photos.
What better way to learn the handbook than throw one?
By
the end of the year.
I mean, we got to make it happen now.
I know a council person who would help.
Oh, great. I mean, I love this. I think just getting excited for what could be and getting to dream with our neighbors and is just really exciting. So actually, since we're talking about all this fun things and the money it takes to make some of these fun things happen.
Could I just say one thing? I did remember when DaQuavion was talking about organizing, right? And not losing sight of the power we have as just residents, as neighbors, to organize. It's, my background as a union organizer at Legal Aid was also like, there's a book, No Shortcuts, where it's by Jane McAlevey, rest in peace, amazing organizer who wrote the book, talks about one of her phrases, quotes, that has always stuck with me has been that it's never do something for a worker that they can do for themselves. And it's not because you don't want the best for workers. It is because at some point you have to have the worker take ownership and take responsibility for what they can do, and because they have that power. And you have to push them. And I think that's true for residents, that's true for neighbors, of that how do we get people to realize the power they have and start acting on it? I'm really excited for that. So.
It's just made me think of our Evangeline and I's 9-month-old baby.
I want to hear what this goes.
That little girl will, if she wants something, cry until you go and get it for her. But she knows how to crawl now. So she needs to figure out how to move on her own, or else she's always going to be dependent on us.
You do assist her a lot
with
that, but
I can't imagine any more transformational journeys than being a parent.
Exactly. Life is teaching us all kinds of things. But anyways, I wanted to follow up on something you mentioned at our last community meeting about the neighborhood fund. Can you just talk a little bit more about that? I think it kind of falls in line with what we were talking about, empowering neighbors.
I think the concept of the neighborhood fund started, from initial conversations about how can we utilize discretionary money that council members have. And for folks who may not be aware, the discretionary money at city council is a hotly debated topic. There's takes all over the place, and I think if I was to summarize the spectrum, there's a group of folks that think they are bad slush funds that get utilized in not transparent ways. And then the other side of the spectrum is people need neighborhood services that we often see mayoral administrations not prioritizing at the cost of, they want to focus on lakefronts, downtowns, and oftentimes neighborhoods get left behind. So I think that's kind of like the spectrum of where people think the discretionary money falls, but it's essentially money that is allocated for different wards, and it's roughly about equal for each ward, and council members get the biggest part in deciding what happens to that neighborhood, to that money, discretionary money. For us, when we were talking about, okay, how do we utilize this? Once again, our vision was always, how do we empower people to start organizing? Because we know the needs in our city are great, and the amount of resources we have are not enough. So at some level, you have to start you need that like activation of people to be able to make that gap work. We need that almost generation of Clevelanders saying, we know we don't have enough. These are the ways we're going to be pitching in to make sure that this doesn't just continue on a downward spiral.
Right.
So for us, it's like, how do we empower and foster that? And that's where the neighborhood fund came from, and also seeing what happened with PB Cleveland, which if for folks who may not be familiar, participatory budgeting is this concept that everyday people should get a say in how their taxes get used. Once again, goes back to more representative democracy ideals of saying, small d democracy of ideals of saying, okay, like you should have a say in where your money goes to, not just elected officials. Yeah. That measure failed at the ballot very closely. I think it was like 51%, just slightly. It failed at the ballot in Cleveland. I think this was 2023, I want to say. I might have that number wrong. Somebody double check. But so I personally was in favor of it, and I think it would be a great way to support people organizing themselves, give them a real incentive. So we said, okay, out of our discretionary money, we're going to set aside $50,000, and we're going to say, if you're working with neighbors and you have an idea that you would need resources for to activate your neighbors, we're willing to support you in this way. So we set that money. We've really not come up with like processes for it because we're still kind of getting the word out. We're letting people know this is available, but we've made that commitment, so that money will be allocated for it. And that's where we want to see happening. So like things such as what would traditionally be supported by like Neighbor Up or something even, but we want people to think beyond that. This is money that we can use for block parties, anything from that to like having community gardens being set up.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to kind of support that and kind of see where that goes. And really the sky's the limit. We can utilize that money for anything. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that's awesome.
When you do figure out the process for it, where can listeners go to, or where would they find out what the final process?
Nico
will definitely be on top of it, I know. But I mean, I think we would want to advertise or at least have some form of information on our website, I'm sure, on our council website, but just call our office. But until then, the first step is going to be talk to your neighbors.
Yeah.
Understand where you want to put it to, because we absolutely, well, I won't go that far, but we don't want people to just do it. Like, the idea is that you are building collective power. You can't do that alone. So you need someone else. Start talking with your neighbors.
Link arms
get buy-in.
and do it. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so start planning. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And so as soon as the application comes out, you already have a plan. You got the people with you.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
That's right.
Yeah. So what do you hope listeners take away from this conversation about who you are, what your office stands for? I know we've kind of talked through the same themes over and over, but talk to the listener right now.
I hope people take away that, we're here to serve them. At the end of the day, I think it's, for me, that's really important, of just like helping people understand we're here. I think the potential is endless, and I'm really excited for where we can go as a city, but we're going to need a lot more collective buy-in for that.
Yeah.
That is a really powerful reality of community building, is that it takes time, and you have to have a long time horizon when you're thinking about it. What do you think of 10, 25, maybe 50 years down the road, things go in a really good direction where neighbors are more connected, more empowered? What is your vision for how this ward would look and how the city would look?
If you live in Cleveland, you should be able to get anywhere from any corner in Cleveland within 20 minutes using public transit. Because to me, that's the beautiful part of why I live in a city.
The east side?
Including the east side. We're going to bridge this east and west divide. I honestly think I think the history of Cleveland has been defined by the river in many different shapes and forms, but that when we solve that divide is going to unlock the potential for what Cleveland can be. So to me, that's the big challenge of how do we bridge this segregation and the redlining that our city has historically faced. But I think public transit is a big, big part of that solution of, if we're able to get people from one spot to another spot within 20 minutes, that opens up so many more possibilities for childcare, for jobs, for different opportunities that so many people are locked out of right now because of their immediate neighborhood that we have to surpass. So for me, housing, food, transit, all of those are central parts of it. But really, at the end of the day, it's going to involve having this like vibrant culture of neighborhood organizing that our city had at one point. I mean, we had hundreds of block clubs, not just in Ohio City or Tremont, but in West Boulevard, every single place.
Right.
Shout out Randy Cunningham, one of your neighbors on West Boulevard, who wrote the book about community organizing in Cleveland and what that looked like. And for me, it's not just going back to that, but how do we get even beyond that? And I think Clevelanders inherently know what it means to be left behind by capital. And if we're going to plan for the next 50, 60 years, we have to make sure we avoid the mistakes of the last 50 and 60 years.
Yeah, we've really appreciated having you on and just hearing your heart, because I think through everything that you said, all the answers you've given, really just seeing the theme of how you really care about people in the city and seeing it flourish. So yeah, we're very happy that you joined us, and yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah,
Let's
it.
live up to
That's
that for a city moniker. I'm excited for that. Bring back the canopy.
Yeah.
I know, I'm sure Nikki talked about that when she was here.
Yeah.
Let's do it. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your time, for sharing your heart and your vision for this ward and for the city.
Thank you for having me. I'm grateful that there's neighbors that care about this work and want to see what's best.
Yes. All right. Thank you. We'll see you on the streets.